Chapter 5. The hallway was a black throat, swallowing the weak beam of my phone's flashlight. The air smelled of stale carpet and old cabbage, the smell of a building that had given up years ago. I stood in front of the door to Unit 4C. My hand was sweating so much, the knife handle felt like a bar of wet soap. I wiped my palm on my jeans, gripped it again, and took a breath that shuddered in my chest. "I'm coming in," I whispered. I didn't say it for him, I said it for me, to prove I could still speak without him saying it first. I didn't bother with the handle. If he was in there, he'd locked it, and I wasn't going to stand here picking a lock while he narrated my death from the other side. I stepped back, lifted my leg, and kicked the door right next to the lock. Crack! The wood was old and dry. It splintered loud and sharp like a gunshot. The door swung inward, bouncing off the wall inside with a hollow thud. I rushed in, leading with the knife, swinging the flashlight beam wildly from left to right. "Don't move! I swear to God, I'll—" My voice died in my throat. I stopped. My feet felt glued to the floor. I wasn't standing in an empty apartment. I wasn't standing in a dusty, abandoned unit with painted shut windows and bare floors. I was standing in my apartment. I blinked, shaking my head. Had I turned around in the dark hallway? Had I gotten confused and run back into my own place? I swung the light around. To my left, there was a desk, a cheap particle board desk exactly like mine. On it sat 3 computer monitors. They were dark because of the power outage, but I knew the brand. I knew the stickers on the back. On the floor, there was a pile of dirty laundry, a blue shirt with a coffee stain on the collar. I had thrown that exact shirt into my hamper yesterday. On the nightstand near the bedroom door, there was an empty pizza box, pepperoni, grease stain on the corner. "No," I whispered, "this isn't real." My brain was trying to reject what my eyes were seeing. It was like walking into a nightmare. Everything was correct, but everything was slightly off. The smell, that was it. My apartment smelled of stale coffee and anxiety. This room smelled fresh. It smelled of paint, sawdust, and antiseptic, like a hospital waiting room masked with air freshener. I walked further in, my sneakers squeaking on the floor. The dead zone wall, the one I shared with this unit, was on the right. In my apartment, I had covered it with acoustic foam. Here, the wall was covered with foam too, but it wasn't the expensive stuff I bought. It was painted sponges, hundreds of gray kitchen sponges glued to the wall to look like my studio. It was a set, a stage. "You have a good eye for detail," a voice said. I spun around, pointing the knife and the light toward the corner of the room. There was a chair there, my chair, the ergonomic mesh one that cost me 2 weeks of pay. Someone was sitting in it, facing away from me, looking out the painted shut window into the dark alley. "Turn around!" I shouted, my voice cracked. "Get on the ground!" The chair slowly swiveled. The wheels didn't squeak. He had oiled them. The beam of my flashlight hit the figure in the chest, then moved up to the face. I almost dropped the knife. It was me. It was my face. The same pale skin from years of working nights, the same dark circles under the eyes, the same receding hairline. He was even wearing my favorite gray hoodie, the one with the frayed cuffs. But as I stared, the image began to fall apart. The skin was too shiny, tight across the cheekbones. There was a thin line of red, raw skin running along his jawline, hidden by makeup that was starting to flake. His nose was slightly swollen, like it had been broken and reset recently. It wasn't magic, it was surgery. It was weeks of makeup, prosthetics, and obsession. "You," I stammered. "Who are you?" The man smiled. It was my smile. Shy, a little crooked on the left side. He had practiced it in a mirror 1,000 times, I could tell. "I'm Elias," he said. He didn't mimic me this time. He just spoke, and the voice was perfect.
It had my nasal pitch, my nervous rhythm. If I closed my eyes, I would have sworn I was talking to myself. "I'm Elias," he repeated, standing up. "And you're just noise, unwanted noise." "Stay back!" I lunged forward a step, slashing the air with the chef's knife. He didn't flinch. He just watched the blade with a calm, detached interest. "You're tired, Elias. Look at you. You're shaking. You haven't slept properly in months. You hate the world. You hate the sound of people eating. You hate the sound of traffic. You just want it all to stop." "Shut up," I hissed. "Stop doing my voice." "It's not your voice anymore," he said, taking a step toward me. He moved smoothly, silently. He was wearing thick wool socks, the same socks that left the print in the dust. "And Elias," he smiled, a cold, dead expression that didn't reach his eyes, "you are a mistake." I screamed. It was a raw animal sound that tore my throat. I charged him. I raised the knife, aiming for that fake, stolen face. He didn't run. He didn't block. He just raised his right hand. He was holding something black and metallic, a pistol with a long, thick cylinder screwed onto the end. I saw the flash of the muzzle. Foot! It wasn't a bang. It was a soft, sharp sound, like a book being slammed shut 3 rooms away. I knew that sound. I had heard it through the wall an hour ago. I had thought it was a sound effect. I had categorized it, labeled it, and ignored it. I felt a punch in my chest. It felt like someone had hit me with a baseball bat right in the sternum. My legs turned to water.
I crumbled. The knife clattered to the hardwood floor, sliding away into the darkness. The flashlight rolled from my hand, the beam spinning dizzily before coming to rest on a pair of gray wool socks. I hit the floor hard. The air left my lungs in a wet wheeze. Cold. I felt cold instantly, a spreading, numbing cold in the center of my chest. I tried to breathe, but my lungs felt heavy, like they were filling with warm syrup. I looked up. The mimic stood over me. He looked huge from down here, a giant wearing my clothes. He crouched down. His face entered the beam of the flashlight. He looked concerned. It was the face I made when I dropped a plate or deleted a file by accident. "Shh," he whispered. He reached out and touched my forehead. His hand was warm. "Don't try to speak. It messes up the recording." He reached into my pocket. I tried to stop him. I tried to grab his wrist, but my arm wouldn't move. My fingers just twitched uselessly against the floorboards. He pulled out the orange pill bottle. He shook it. Rattle, rattle. "I'll need these for a while," he said, slipping them into his hoodie pocket, "until I wean myself off. You really were over-medicated, you know." Then he reached into my other pocket and took my keys. The metal jingled. He held them up to the light, inspecting the jagged teeth of the key to Unit 4B. "Perfect," he murmured. I stared at him, my vision starting to blur at the edges. The darkness was creeping in, eating the light. "Why?" I gurgled. Blood bubbled past my lips. He looked at me, tilting his head. "Because you weren't using it," he said simply. "Your life. You were wasting it, hiding in a box, afraid of sounds. I watched you for 6 months. You have talent. You have money saved. You have a life that fits me perfectly. But you're just a ghost haunting your own body." He stood up. He walked over to the desk, the fake desk, and picked up a pair of headphones. My headphones. The noise-canceling ones I had left on the nightstand in the real apartment. He must have stolen them when I was in the hall. He put them around his neck. It looked right. It looked natural. "Goodbye, Elias," he said. He turned and walked toward the door. I watched him go. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell him he was a thief,
a monster. I wanted to make a sound, any sound that would prove I was still here. But my lungs wouldn't work. He stepped out into the hallway. I saw him turn left, toward Unit 4B, toward my sanctuary. I heard the sound of a key sliding into a lock. Scrape, click. I heard the heavy tumblers of my deadbolt rolling back. I heard the door open. And then I heard the sound that broke my heart one last time. He coughed. It was my cough, the dry hacking sound I made when I swallowed wrong. He did it perfectly, casually, as he stepped into my apartment and closed the door. Click. The lock engaged. I was alone. I lay on the floor of Unit 4C, the fake apartment, the stage. The silence I had spent my whole life chasing finally arrived. The hum of the city faded. The ringing in my ears stopped. The pain in my chest dulled into a distant, heavy pressure. I looked at the wall next to me, the shared wall, the dead zone. I reached out a trembling hand. My fingers brushed the cheap, painted sponges. I pressed my ear against the floor. I listened. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. From the other side of the wall, I heard footsteps. My footsteps. Thump, thump, thump. They walked to the fridge. I heard the seal pop open. I heard the fizz of a soda can opening. It was thirsty. It was thirsty work becoming someone else. My hand went slack. The darkness rushed in to fill the rest of the room. It was funny, really. I had spent so much money on soundproofing. I had spent so much time trying to block out the world. And now, as the last bit of light faded from my eyes, I realized the truth. The world didn't mind if you were silent. The world didn't mind if you disappeared. It just waited for a replacement. And the new tenant? He was much quieter than I ever was. The flashlight flickered once, twice, and died. Total silence. Perfect.